And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring out our first fighter of the evening, representing Revive MMA, Cesar Ponce.
Here comes Cesar Ponce making the walk. First time he has competed, and Steven, you talk about the sort of love of regional MMA. I really love just the amateur division of mixed martial arts, because while this sport has been around, the UFC is very much established, amateur MMA as a whole hasn't been around that long. When I first started watching the sport 20 years ago, you would go to a local show, maybe have a couple too many drinks and go home with an 0-1 pro record.
Yeah.
Now you can actually go out there and figure out if this sport is something you want to pursue at the highest level.
Well, the amateur part of this sport is such a necessary part of the sport, because like you said, you can cut your teeth. Once you go professional, if that's the route you decide to go, you start back over with a clean slate at 0-0. But if you pay attention to the young folks coming up, the men and women in the amateurs, you can see talent that rivals the level of a lot of what you see in professional. And in a lot of ways, there are certain coaches out there that want their fighters to have a vast experience in amateurs. I believe Vance Shaw, even tonight's main event fighter, had something like 6 or 7 amateur fights before turning pro. It's a necessary part of the sport.
Yeah, and you definitely want to be able to face all adversities that MMA brings before doing it as a pro. And for both of these gentlemen tonight, they get their first opportunity. Cesar Ponce ready to start his amateur career.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, his opponent makes his way to the cage, representing the Gladiators Academy of Youngville, Aaron Boudreaux.
Now, you know we're in Cajun country when you get to see a name like Boudreaux. That's not how I would expect to spell Boudreaux, but
the
that's how you spell it.
E-A-U-X
Right.
is very common in Louisiana.
I like it. I like it.
It spills over into Houston, into my area as well, but this is the home of the Boudreaux.
And the humidity, I'm sure, is also there in Houston.
Very much so, in full effect. Yeah.
It's thick here in the South. My goodness. Let's see if the humidity is a precursor to the action. And Aaron Boudreaux doing his part to get the crowd up on their feet here inside the Lake Charles Event Center. Making the walk, representing Gladiators Academy of Youngsville, fighting out of Lafayette, Louisiana. How good is your geography? How far is Lafayette from here?
I couldn't say exactly. I would guess a couple of hours.
Okay. All I really know about Louisiana is that's where Mardi Gras is, and it's the boot state. It's a boot state, you know?
Well, you know where Lafayette, Louisiana is the home of one Dustin Poirier.
Of course.
So he put the Lafayette dot on the map, if you will, and there's a lot of good fighters that come out of there.
I mean, if it weren't for guys like Dustin Poirier or Daniel Cormier, I would never have a chance at saying Boudreaux correctly.
There you go.
You know? Tail the tape here for these two. 29 years old is Aaron Boudreaux. He stands 6 feet tall, 1 inch shorter than that of his opponent, Cesar Ponce. Ponce, 3 years younger. Catchweight affair here. Around 175 pounds. It is Boudreaux that will have a 2-inch reach advantage. All right, time for our official introductions. Let's get it into Colin Cantrell.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first fight is being brought to us by A. Beasley Architecture, design the future of Southeast Louisiana. A. Beasley Architecture, the official architect of Ragin FC6. Introducing first on my right, fighting out of the Benoit Chevrolet blue corner. He stands 6 feet 1, weighing in at 173 1/2 pounds. Making his debut this evening and fighting out of Vidor, Texas, Cesar Ponce. And across the cage on my left, fighting out of the Cajun AC red corner. He stands 6 feet tall, weighing at 175 and 1/4 pounds. Also making his debut this evening and fighting out of Lafayette, Louisiana, Aaron Boudreaux. Referee in charge of the action, Kerry Mullins.
Kerry Mullins getting this assignment. It is Cesar Ponce taking on Aaron Boudreaux.
Boy, did you see that stare down? Cesar Ponce was locked in. Let's see if this thing gets off to action right away.
Very much so. Ponce in the black, Boudreaux in the gray with black.
You know, as a fellow southpaw, I always enjoy seeing the opposite stance, TJ. And one of the things I always look for is the foot battle in the front. Who's winning the foot battle? And that usually means that your front foot is on the outside of your opponent's front foot. It kind of lines you up for those power shots. That's one thing I'll be looking for in this fight.
Always interesting to see a southpaw if that's their natural wrestling leg forward as well as we get into the clinch.
Nice knee snuck in there by Ponce.
Some fighters back in the day would sort of tell you what they were doing because they would stand opposite the way they would want to wrestle. Now we're back at space.
Boudreaux so far working the body jab and the body kick with some success.
Good amount of feints here early. Ooh, nice kick to the body of Boudreaux by Ponce.
I heard that one. Answered by a nice low kick there by Boudreaux.
A variety of different looks here from Boudreaux. He goes between southpaw and orthodox.
Again with the body knees for Ponce. That seems to be his go-to here. He lands those pretty well in the clinched position.
Kick to the lead leg there of Ponce by Boudreaux.
Lots of stance switching out of Boudreaux.
Kick again to that lead leg. Good body kick there by Ponce.
Yeah, Ponce's landed a couple of those. Boudreaux eating them well so far.
A varying degree of comfort on the feet by both men. You see Boudreaux with a lot of frantic movement. Ponce a little more set up, but Boudreaux landed a nice punch a moment ago.
Both guys like to set up their hands with low kicks.
Closing moments here of the opening round. Ooh, good right hand there by Boudreaux. And the first one is in the books. First round of the fight complete, and first round of both men's amateur careers complete. Your thoughts on the first 3 minutes?
Yeah, you know, I think it was a little back and forth. Good body work by Ponce, you know, good clinch. But then Boudreaux was doing well with the stance switch, you know, landing some nice kicks of his own. He was more landing the lower kicks than the body kicks, but they were landing effectively, and he was able to put a few combinations up top as well. Overall, a pretty close first round, I'd say.
Judges will have their hands full, but we're a long way away from the decision. Still 2 more rounds yet to go. We got 2 amateur titles on the line coming your way later tonight. All of that action begins at 8 p.m. on the Clear Life Live app. Our main card from Lake Charles, Louisiana, headed your way a little bit later on. TJ DeSantis along with Stephen Barnhill. Appreciate you joining us for our preliminary action. Round 2 about to get underway. And we're back at it. Boudreaux in the gray and black, Ponce in the all black.
Both guys swinging lead hand hooks there, but neither one of them quite landed.
Ooh, getting fast and furious with the action here.
Good come-forward combination by Ponce there. And
yeah, Ponce not afraid to eat a couple to give a couple back either.
absolutely not, and you see that a lot in the amateurs. These guys are as hungry as it gets. They want to cut their teeth and build their name. Looks like we got a shiner underneath the eye of Boudreaux there.
Really loading up on that overhand right, and then he goes back to southpaw, but eats a hard body kick.
Beautiful body kick there.
Followed by a couple of nice punches from Ponce.
Ponce is starting to take control of this fight in the second, TJ.
Yeah, definitely looking comfortable, and I think we know why he had such an intimidating look on his face when he entered the cage tonight.
It was almost Alex Pereira-esque, where he just stared the opponent down from the beginning of the walkout all the way through the opening bell.
Chama. Inside the clinch here. Ponce does his part to keep it at space, fires off a kick to the body. I mean, Ponce's got to be feeling good about himself. I mean, Alex Pineda references in his first amateur fight, now working some knees to the body.
And he's doing a really good job of lining up his power again, and that all starting from that front foot being in the proper position on the outside of Boudreaux's.
Boudreaux loses the mouthpiece. Ponce looked a bit upset by that tactic. You know, one thing I've learned, Steven, in boxing, the mouthpiece falls off, they wash it off. In MMA, they just shove it back in.
Put that thing right back in. You got work to do.
Nice knees there by Ponce.
You can tell they're starting to wear on Boudreaux. He's breathing a little bit heavier after those knees. Mouthpiece out again.
That's the second time now. Referee telling him to keep it in. You can lose a point that way if you keep losing the mouthpiece. Boy.
Brutal knees.
You talk about the body shots and how they can tax the cardio. There's a reason they call it money in the bank as the mouthpiece goes flying once again. At this point, this is the third time. If you're the referee,
it's causing breaks in the action where Ponce is starting to have success, so you do get to the point where it's starting to affect the fight. Beautiful lead hand there by Ponce.
Flurry of action here in the closing moments of the second round as Boudreaux trying to get this takedown, unable to do so.
Yeah,
and Ponce starting to take over.
Ponce sprawled well on that single. That was sort of a last-minute desperation thing because he was rocked by that lead hand shot of Ponce.
Headed your way later tonight, we've got our main card live on the Clear Life Live app. You can do so search in your mobile store or online and make sure you don't miss any of our action. It's headed your way live at 8 p.m. exclusively on the Clear Life Live app. Headed into the third and final round. Safe to say that momentum, at least at the end of that second round, in the corner of Cesar Ponce. He's definitely worn on his opponent in Aaron Boudreaux. The mouthpiece has fallen out a few times. Aren't you supposed to boil those things? They're not supposed to come out that easy.
They shouldn't come out that easy. You know, most of the high-quality ones are you actually do imprints of your teeth, and then there's one sent out to you a couple of weeks later.
I think there's an imprint of some knuckles underneath that right eye of Boudreaux.
I think it's more the heavy breathing, to be honest, of Boudreaux. He was hit with some really nasty body knees and kicks, and I think he's having trouble breathing. He's doing a little bit of mouth breathing, hence the mouthpiece popping out.
Well, the air is thick down here in Louisiana, but I don't think it's just the humidity that's getting to Boudreaux.
Ponce feinting a little bit here. I want to see what he attacks with first because he hurt Boudreaux to the body and to the head at the end of that round. It'll be interesting to see if he goes for the finish here because it was getting that way with 10 seconds left.
And you see big reactions out of Boudreaux almost on every movement of Ponce, and you see Boudreaux try to initiate a takedown there, but eats a hard shot, kick to the body. We talk about the volume. Boudreaux's lost a lot of the initiative in this fight.
When you eat as many body shots as he has, you tend to have your energy pretty zapped.
And Ponce doing a great job at mixing up the targets, going to the legs, going to the body, and obviously the head.
And every time Boudreaux throws in volume, he pays for it. He gets cracked with it. And so I think he's kind of resorting to sort of single shots now.
Good glancing left hand.
Ooh, beautiful body kick again there by Ponce.
That sounded disgusting. Oh, beautiful left hand
nice
drop,
front
Boudreaux.
hook.
Referee Mullins giving Boudreaux some time to work through it. Right hands adding up here for Ponce. See how aggressive he wants to get here, trying to hunt for the finish. Back to work with the right hands. Oh, he's bleeding
pretty bad.
Referee the mouthpiece fell out and they put it right back in, but.
Well, TJ, I made the Alex Pereira reference, and then he sits him down with a left hook, wouldn't you know?
You're pretty good at this, Steven.
Oh, thank you, man.
45 seconds left here in this opening round.
Nice straight
right
there
hand
by Ponce. At this point, Boudreaux's just trying to make it to the end. He's got 30 seconds here.
Glancing right hand finds a home for Boudreaux. Kick to the body there by Ponce. Comes high with a head kick.
Oh, beautiful rear hook.
Mouthpiece goes flying, and the fight goes the way of Cesar Ponce. What a body of work turned in over the course of 3 rounds. Now 1-0 as an amateur. Credit to Aaron Boudreaux for being a tough customer. Some frustration coming out from Boudreaux, but what a performance for Cesar Ponce.
Boy, I tell you, Cesar Ponce really is an accumulative type of fighter. He started in that first round, which I thought was pretty close. You know, worked good body kicks, good strikes to the head that he set up with the low kicks. And ultimately, when he smelled blood in the water, he picked up the pace. And that's what you like to see out of these young fighters, is not just the ability to, you know, win rounds and string together moments in the fight, but start to build on the damage that you do. And then when you see your opponent heading towards the door, get them out of there fully.
A beautiful left hand, and you saw Boudreaux spit that mouthpiece out once again, and that was a wrap. Cesar Ponce. What a force to be reckoned with. Now 1-0 as an amateur, and that's the first time we've seen a smile on his face all night.
He's been stoic up until now, man, but well-deserved smile and a great performance there by that young man, Cesar Ponce.
Absolutely. Nice victory for him to start his amateur run. He gets the 3rd round stoppage. And to make it official, let's go to Colin Cantrell, who's standing by.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2 minutes 40 seconds in round number 3. Your referee, Kerry Mullins, calls a halt to the bout. Your winner by TKO, Cesar Ponce.
Cesar Ponce getting it done via 3rd round technical knockout over Aaron Boudreaux.